Hello everyone, today is 27th of February, Tuesday. Now it's 9 o'clock in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day, in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Second update will be a little bit late on my Patreon page, in which I will share all the additional news that Russian media will report about during the day. That's been said, let's talk about news now. And first of all, short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. According to latest reports of Russian media and Russian military channels, there was no crucial changes on line of contact during the night time. Russian armed forces increasing pressure, continuing to increase pressure all along the front line on Ukrainian units. And right now, major hotspots are Toninka village in Avdiivka direction, also Orlovka. So this is Toninka village, by the way, almost in between Severna and Lastichkina. Orlovka is northwest side of Lastichkina. These two settlements are hotspots. Of course, also Krasnaye village in Chisovyar direction, and this village has second name also, Ivanovskaya, which is, by the way, on the outskirts of Bakhmut. This is Bakhmut and this is Krasnaya here. Quite a large village. And this is a hotspot, and battles are taking place inside the village, according to latest reports. And also Russian armed forces conducting offensive operations in direction of Krasnogorovka village, which is located on the northern side of Marinka settlement. And well, Krasnogorovka is one of the major hard points or major strongholds of Ukrainian armed forces in this direction, and I guess it will take quite some time for Russian forces to establish control over this settlement. It's not gonna be easy for sure. Like nothing is easy, basically, when we are talking about military operations. Also, one may say that hotspot is Rabotina in Orehow bridgehead area, but somewhat surprisingly, in last 2 days, we did not receive any additional news about progress of Russian forces in this direction. Seems like, for whatever reason, Russian armed forces halted their offensive in Rabotin direction. Half of the village is under Russian control now, southern part, and the northern part is, at least formally, still under control of Ukrainian forces. And by the way, little groups of Ukrainian units still are maintaining their presence in Krinky area, on the Kherson direction, and on the islands right opposite of Krinky, islands on the Dnieper river. And this is it when it comes to short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. As I said, no crucial changes was reported during the night time. And well, that's been said, let's go through some other news now. And we have some major developments, by the way, in terms of global politics. President of France made a very disturbing statement that NATO troops in Ukraine cannot be ruled out. So French President Emmanuel Macron has argued that deployments of the troops to Ukraine by NATO members and other allies cannot be ruled out because Western powers must stop at nothing to ensure that Russia does not defeat Kiev's forces. There is no consensus today to send in an official manner troops on the ground, Macron told reporters after hosting a meeting of European leaders on Monday in Paris. But in terms of dynamics, we cannot exclude anything. We will do everything necessary to prevent Russia from winning this war. And this is big, by the way. This is definitely big because Macron basically is talking about direct conflict between Russia and NATO. which is, I mean, we all understand how dangerous that is, not just for Russia and the NATO member states, but for all of humanity. And I guess today we will see some strong statements from Russia and from other countries outside of the Western world, this Western bubble that is headed towards total disaster, because this is unacceptable. I mean, what Macron and the forces that are behind him are pushing is totally unacceptable, because they are basically questioning, putting under risk entire humanity, with pushing this narrative of further escalation with Russia, including with direct clashes with the Russian forces by NATO. So very disturbing developments are taking place in the Western world, and I'm kind of surprised that after Macron made these statements, there was no massive demonstrations in the France to demand resignation of French president, because basically what he's saying, I mean, he wants all French citizens to be dead. That's what his statement means, by the way. He wants all citizens of France to be dead. And he wants all citizens of the Western world to die. That's what his statement means, by the way. Because as a former Russian president, Dmitry Medvedev said just about a week ago, direct confrontation between Russia and NATO will be end of everything. He did not say that Russia will defeat Western world in a nuclear exchange. No, because it's impossible. It's impossible to win in a nuclear exchange. It will be end of everything. End of humanity. And it's just unbelievable how out of touch with reality, or how suicidal really this Western so-called elites and ruling class is, that they are openly now pushing towards war with Russia, towards full-scale war between NATO and Russia. This is crazy, by the way. This is crazy. I have no words to describe how unbelievably stupid this and dangerous this statements of Macron is. Crazy, by the way. You tell me what the hell is going on, because this is unacceptable, totally unacceptable. And dear friends, before Macron made this statement, Prime Minister of Slovakia had a televised speech, and in his speech, I mean, you could clearly see how disturbed he was when he was talking about that some members of NATO and EU are now openly discussing possibility to send troops in Ukraine to fight Russia. And by the way, pretext of sending those troops, according to reports that we are receiving, will be these bilateral agreements that a number of NATO member states signed with the Kiev regime just recently, and France included. So very disturbing development and very dangerous. Very dangerous. I don't know how, but Western ruling elites, Western ruling class has to be neutralized, by the way, before they destroy this planet, and before they destroy all of humanity. They really are most, greatest danger for human civilization right now. And when it comes to confrontation, there's also one more point, by the way, to be made. You know my take on Ukrainian crisis. I said many times before that in my personal opinion, in my understanding, my reading of big picture is basically that after this conflict will end, Ukraine will be divided between Russia and NATO. And, majority of Ukrainian territory, and I will give it 99%, by the way, that majority of Ukrainian territory will be controlled by Russia after this conflict will end, and western regions of Ukraine will be controlled by NATO, or to be more precise, NATO member states. First of all, Poland, of course, Hungary and Romania, countries that have historical claims on western regions, on some parts of the western Ukraine. And of course, during this full-scale disintegration of Ukraine, Polish forces, Hungarian forces, and Romanian forces that will try to occupy former territories of these countries will be supported by other NATO member states. And it is possible, theoretically at least, that these very dangerous statements of French president of France, basically are directed exactly on this, that NATO will send troops in Ukraine, formally in Ukraine, but in western regions of Ukraine, which will be occupied by NATO member states. And maybe by making these statements, Western ruling classes is trying to lay down ground for incursion into the Western Ukraine. That's also possibility, but yet again, Macron was talking about that, I mean, they cannot allow Russia to win and that kind of stuff, which is dangerous. Russia already won this conflict with the Western ruling elites. It's factual. Russia already won this conflict with the Western ruling class. They might not like it, but it's fact. It's fact. They cannot stop Russia. Only way they can influence situation is to provoke direct conflict between Russia and NATO, and even in that case, they would not be able to defeat Russia. Only outcome of direct confrontation between NATO and Russia will be total destruction of everything, entire world. That's it. But theoretically, I will leave a chance that maybe Macron was unable to articulate himself in a better way, and he meant that NATO forces will enter Western Ukraine under pretext that they are protecting Ukraine. And then, of course, these Western parts will join Poland, Hungary, and Romania, while the rest of the Ukraine will become under full Russian control, of course, including Kiev and surrounding regions. Although, by the way, I might leave 1% chance that Kiev and a few regions around it will maintain their statehood, Ukrainian statehood, quasi-statehood. But yet again, maybe even 1% is too much, because I don't see any reason why Moscow will agree on such a development. Most likely, entire Ukraine, with the exception of western regions, will become under full Russian control after this conflict will end. But anyway, by the way, very dangerous statements from President of France, and well, during the day, I believe we will have some reactions on these statements, and of course, I will report about it in in today's episode of Headlines and in a second update on my Patreon page. And of course, I will discuss these topics during the live stream on my Rumble channel this evening, 9 o'clock Moscow time. Anyway, let's continue with some other news now. I will try to make this update as short as possible, so I will go through headlines. RIA Novosti's report that Russian air defense systems shut down 2 Ukrainian drones over the Bryansk region early hours this morning. Also, of course, many of you are already informed that yesterday, in a zone of special military operation, first US-made Abrams tank was destroyed. I report about it in yesterday's episode of Headlines, in my second update. Yesterday, on my Telegram channel, you can see pictures and videos of destruction of this Abrams tank. And I believe this is not the first, and this is definitely first. Sorry, this is definitely first. Previously, engineering machine was destroyed on the chassis of Abrams, and many people was mistaken. They were thinking Abrams tank was destroyed, but not. This is the first documented case of destruction of Abrams tanks, and I believe definitely not the last one. And the press spokesman of Russian President Dmitry Peskov was asked about this story about Abrams, and he said that, well, nothing extraordinary has happened. Abrams tanks will burn very same way that any other tanks do, including Challenger 2s, Leopard 2s, and whatever other equipment Kiev regime has in its inventory, which is true, by the way. RIA Novosti's report that Parliament of Hungary voted in favor of Sweden joining NATO. So at this point, I guess it's official that during the next NATO summit, which will take place in US, I believe this summer, Sweden will become an official member of this anti-Russian military alliance. RT's report that police fired tear gas at the protesting farmers in Brussels. And on my Telegram, by the way, I shared some videos yesterday. It was in some areas of Brussels. I mean, if you did not know what was going on and see just a video of aftermath of clashes between police and the farmers, you could see it's a video from some war zone. So yes, farmers all around Europe are very mad at the Brussels, at the EU bureaucracy and their policies, and also on the governments of their own countries. And for a reason, of course, this so-called green agenda and flooding of European markets by cheap agricultural produce from Ukraine definitely make life for farmers in Europe much difficult. Also increase prices on energy. And they have every reason to protest, and it seems like they are not stopping because they cannot. They are losing businesses and they are losing livelihoods. So how they can stop without being listened and without some steps being taken by governments, by officials, to make sure that this agricultural sector of the EU member states are protected and in a position to be not just able to survive but also to thrive. So I can 100% understand the frustration of the farmers and their anger, and everybody, majority in this planet understands, I guess. Also, by the way, RT's report that yet another high-ranking official in Ukraine made strong statements against and towards farmers' protests in Europe. In this particular case, Foreign Minister of Ukraine, Kuleba, said that Russia is obviously behind protests in Poland. How disrespectful Ukrainian high-ranking officials are and gonna be for Western capitals to react on this nonsense, and before European governments will pressure back this crazies in Kiev, because this is a clear disrespect of farmers in Poland and their families, because they are fighting for their own rights. They don't give a damn about geopolitics, really. As simple as that. RT's report that US sanctions threaten world order, according to China. So Washington's latest round of sanctions against Russia and its partners, including China, is yet another example of US economic coercion, undermining global trade relations. China's Commerce Ministry said on Monday the US Treasury announced a new list of sanctions on Friday, targeting some 500 individuals and entities in Russia, as well as several Chinese companies for Russia-related reasons. And by the way, well, I can understand the disappointment of Chinese government for these secondary sanctions from Washington that targets Chinese businesses also, not just Chinese, but also businesses in Turkey, in India, in a number of other countries. No one is safe, basically. No one is safe. No business is safe anywhere. And therefore, I believe this is additional very strong reason for BRICS member states to further intensify work on creation of alternative financial and banking system that will serve not just BRICS member states, but also rest of the world. Also rest of the world, including Western businesses, by the way, because I believe many Western businesses are fed up with this sanction war. that Western ruling class is waging against Russia, against China, against everybody that they don't like, which is crazy. So it's just immensely necessary to come up with alternative financial and banking systems as fast as possible, because I mean, it's obvious that these sanction wars are destructing global trade and global economy. It's just too obvious, and there is no other way around. Alternative financial and banking system has to be created, and of course Moscow is doing some steps towards this. Moscow already come up with alternative to SWIFT, and over 20 countries are joining this SWIFT, Russian alternative to the SWIFT. China has alternative system. India is working on it, but it's still not enough. And I believe international alternative have to be created by BRICS with financial and alternative financial and banking system, and it will be done. It will be done eventually. At least, I mean, latest, I guess it will take 5 to 7 years. That's the latest, but that's too long. That's too long. I believe this alternative has to be in place already, or maximum in next year or two, because otherwise world economy will lose in trillions because of these crazy policies of the Western ruling class. And also, by the way, RT's report that Finance Minister of Russian Federation, Anton Silvanov, did made statement that major shift is happening in the global economy. So yes, global economy is changing as developing countries are now rapidly outpacing the major advanced economies of the world, and he is absolutely correct. BRICS member states and friendly nations to BRICS in total are representing much bigger economy than G7 countries, but yet again, because of this sanction war, disruption is really severe on the world economy, and statements of Silvanov one more indicator that Moscow, Beijing, New Delhi, Brazil, and leadership of South Africa have to come up with the alternative, and other BRICS member states, by the way, also. From January 1st this year, of course, more members join BRICS, and other BRICS member states, I mean, they all together have to come up with alternative financial and banking system. Otherwise, all these talks about rapid development of the global South, BRICS member states will be halted, because at least for now it seems like entire world is still heavily dependent on this Western financial and banking system that is used as a weapon by Western ruling class. So yes, hard to disagree with Silvanov. Global economy is definitely changing, and developing economies are rising. And to make sure that this rise will continue, alternative financial system is needed immediately. So, well, this is it for now, by the way. I hope this update is short. It is, by the way, it is. I'm happy with that. So, yes, I hope you will find this short update somewhat informative and interesting, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything, any topic. More likes and comments will definitely help to deal with the algorithms on both platforms, by the way, on YouTube and Rumble. And well, I mentioned Rumble, and well, let me ask you, if you are watching this video on YouTube, to subscribe on my Rumble channel. You can see links on this video in the description box. or in the pinned comment. And well, for a very same reason, to reach wider audience, if you can please share links to my videos or my channels with your friends on any of the platforms that you are actively using. And if you think my work is useful, informative, and this small media project of mine deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see all the links in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.